The following video contains spooky skeleton man mauling at a dumb fuck. Viewer discretion is advised. Alright. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with fire. Alright. Cool. Let's start this voice call up.
Hello?
Yep.
What's up, boy?
Alright.
First
So,
time I get to talk to the great and amazing Retry.
by the way, this is Killerseig. He will be moderating between the two of us. So, become a little acquainted with him.
Alright, just, no, try and be fair.
Right. So, how this will work is you'll get your time to do your opening argument. I'll get my time to do our opening argument. Then we can just fry into whatever topic that we wish to go over. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
This is the time where Retry confirms or denies.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll try to keep this within like an hour and a half. But like whenever you want to like kill it, you just say, all right, I need to go, and I'll respect that, and we'll do our closing arguments, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, I'll probably have it under an hour.
Okay, under an hour then. That's fine. All right, so. Anyways, I will leave you to the opening argument for you.
Alright, my opening argument. A lot of debate around
This
this
is gonna
issue.
suck.
The is transphobic and bigoted, taking the slightest disagreement as popular trans activist messages, even when you're just trying to assert nuance.
He can't hear me right now, so let's go.
My points in a way that hopefully shows that I do want the best for trans people, but I do not believe empty platitudes like trans women are women, or rhetoric about pink brain, blue brain helps trans people.
Alright, is that it?
Alright, Bones, it's on to you.
Alright. I, as a cisgender man, have no personal experience to draw upon. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. Muted! Pro streamer, by the way. His mic is still okay. Let me up the audio on my end. Anyways, I, as a cisgender man, have no personal experience to draw upon when it comes to being trans. I recognize that, and hold on, I just realized I have my music on. I recognize that, and I won't try to make claims to other people's experiences. That being said, I want to help those that are marginalized in society, including that of trans folk. If anything, I want to clear up any misconceptions involving trans folks' participation in society and their transition, which is why I spent the time educating myself on the matter. If I can be there to counteract transphobic narratives and bring about a better understanding to others about this subject, then I consider that a win. Specifically, I will be attacking the narratives that are aligned with TERFs. A TERF is classified as a trans exclusionary radical feminist. TERFs will attempt to argue that what they advocate for is the protection of women as a class, but they will discriminate against trans women in every space possible, as well as restrict the methods in which trans women can transition with no valid basis in the academic literature. They know that the literature does not support them, so they will attempt to obfuscate it in every way possible by saying things like, we want to protect women from men, and we just want trans folk to be happy, but we have concerns. These are like common talking points to sort of obfuscate this. Their what's the word I'm looking for? Concern or like want to help. And then we'll proceed to make arguments against the inclusion and acceptance of trans women at every step of the way. Throughout this debate, I will not only be providing my own arguments as to why trans people are not only valid in their identity and should participate in society without wrongful discrimination, but I will also be debunking the misinformation provided by my interlocutor. TERF ideology is transphobic and only seeks to harm trans individuals by enacting policies that put up unnecessary barriers that keep trans individuals from accessing the resources that they need to be able to live comfortably as well as perpetuate myths that lead to bigoted behaviors and acts that negatively impact trans individuals. Alright, sorry for the mucho texto, but what subject do you want to open up with?
Alright, I guess a good place to start would be the common misconception that I see as the main reason why a lot of people that get labeled TERFs get labeled trans-exclusionary. Well, I do not believe that most of them have any hate for trans people or are, secretly fascists. A bunch of mostly 40-plus-year-old lifelong feminists, mostly Marxists, suddenly became fascists because of trans people. I think that's a really stupid point.
Why do you think that? I'm curious.
Mostly comes down to the misconceptions and people repeating rhetoric that they do not understand, do not want to.
What are these common misconceptions, if I may interrupt? Sorry.
Yeah, so most of this comes from statements
super
like
low energy.
trans women are women, which feminists disagree with.
What you mean?
Well,
Second wave feminists, right? Feminists in like the third and fourth wave accept like trans people and like their identity.
Feminists who've been at it and have read feminist literature, feminists who don't get their feminism from articles on BuzzFeed, mostly.
Do you think that
not.
most feminists just like... Do you think most modern feminists are just like BuzzFeed warriors? Is that what it is?
I do believe a lot of the new wave of intersectional, as it's called, feminism does not have its grounding in literature, but is a product of what we'd call woke capitalism, that just, pushes narratives that, is acceptable within capitalism, and is...
Okay, why is the narrative of trans women are women like something born out of quote-unquote woke capitalism?
Because it benefits capitalists, mostly.
Do you think it would also benefit trans people to have like a popular media and like even though they're being commodified to some sort of extent? Do you not think that it is beneficial for them in some form or way to get that sort of exposure to where they are normalized in society? Do you think like that's a bad thing somehow?
I do believe trans people getting exposure on the side likes is good. But I do not believe that any of the people that push that exposure in capitalist media are trying to help trans people. I think it is, and as is evidence.
Oh my god, this is so
again, a lot of
he's so low energy.
You know this, and I would recognize this. Comes a lot from capitalists have a vested interest. The average price to fully transition is $150,000, and with the amount of trans people there are, it is a billion-dollar business for pharmaceutical companies who have had a large influence on pushing a lot of the wrong and unhelpful narratives about transition and trans people that does not help trans people.
Alright, so you've made like a decent amount of points. I don't care if capitalists don't have like a vested interest in helping out trans folk. The effect that they had did help out trans folk and get them normalized in society. I really don't think that their intentions are really tied to that. As for another thing, pharmaceutical companies are
Wait, are you
trying to.
saying that capitalists do not have a interest in profit
No, I didn't say that. I said that
and are
I
being
I
genuine?
don't care what their intentions are, so long as that the effect is they have helped trans folk become normalized in society, and that they become less stigmatized as a result of their exposure. Like I don't really think that's like a controversial take. Like even among like lefties.
I mean, sure, we could talk about this in terms of takes and what is controversial and not, and whatever circles you follow
Well, I
on
mean
Twitter or
they
whatever or
just
whatever.
the
But
media exposure does benefit
I think
trans
if
folk.
you try
Like
to actually
regardless.
have this discussion, then yes, media exposure and normalization is good.
Right.
But a lot of the bad and what I consider harmful narratives to trans people also is coming from those same people with
What
vested
are these
interests
harmful
and profit.
narratives? Just curious.
These are things like uh, you push for what I would call self-identity essentialism view on being trans, which I don't know if I need to explain what that view is or if you
Before
agree
we
with that.
stop there, I'm not here to redo the DM versus RGR debate.
That is going to be relevant, those topics that were brought up.
I
I don't have a
really
preference
don't
for
think
those
that there's like a
people, but
big. I really don't see a big difference in their positions. Personally, like I could see them working, see both those positions working through like different frameworks. With RGR as being more of like a legal framework, and Demon Mom as being more or less like a pragmatic kind of everyday life type of framework. But I don't really have like strong opinions uh, on that. I just would rather use like arguments that would like be just useful in general. And I'm not here to like argue whether trans people exist because based on like whatever because they do.
yeah, so again, we don't have to address specifically those people or that debate in specific, but the topics are very much relevant.
That I don't think it's a harmful narrative. That's what I'm saying. And I personally like don't think that this is a big issue. Like this, like the whole like how do we define gender thing is a hotly debated topic in academia. Where like in like philosophy and all that shit, but like personally, I just don't think it's like that big of a debate in like the grand scene of things. Like, there's not really like much impact that would have on like advocating for trans folk.
So I would say that is wrong, and mostly due to your lack of understanding on the subject.
Ooh,
My
my lack of understanding, right? Yeah. So like,
yeah, you said there's not a big difference. This is like the
Let him
core
finish this
difference
point.
in is like the core difference in what I would say. I won't mention.
I
RGR,
really
but
don't
I
want to
made,
fucking get into the RGR
even
versus
what
Demon Mom shit.
so
Like any of those arguments because I don't give a
feminists,
shit.
have an issue
Anyways,
with, and
I don't.
you know, also many people in the medical establishment, including places in the UK, and the recent ruling there, this had a large impact on, this specific debate about self-identity essentialism or, inherent qualities is very core to the debate going on there and other places and just general.
Well, here's where I'm gonna probably step in and say like legally there's a process in which like people go through to like change their legal gender from like the one that they were assigned at birth, and usually that involves like some paperwork and like being cleared like by like doctors saying, hey, like, yep, this person is definitely trans. And even then, it's like I don't think a lot of people would try to just game the system for no reason. Than to like be an opportunist. So if we go down that route, like this would be the same thing as like the welfare queen argument, but personally, like I said, I don't think that this is like a big part of our discussion really, because like trans women, they're out there, they exist, they're women, they're women to me. Like if person says I use she her pronouns, I'm fine with that. They them, fine with that. They any other neo pronouns, fine with that. He him, fine. I'm not gonna sit here and try and like debate their existence.
I'm also fine with telling people whatever makes them comfortable.
Right.
And, you know, not denying anyone's existence. I think that is a completely ridiculous point. I'm not sure why disagreeing with self-identity essentialism versus inherent qualities is denying anyone's existence. You know,
what inherent qualities?
With, how they explain or how they define this one quality about them does not like delete anyone out of existence, and I think that's a really stupid point. Like,
wait, what inherent qualities?
So that being trans is an inherent quality that requires some sort of medical intervention.
Well, and, no. Well, I'm going to stop you there. You don't have to get medical intervention if you consider yourself trans. You could just socially transition. And you could just use different pronouns and wear different clothes.
Yes, and I also believe everyone can wear different clothes. I believe everyone can wear whatever clothes they want.
Is that a bad thing?
That is why would it be a bad thing?
Well, I don't see any issue with like social transition or letting people dress the way that they want. Like just being trans in of itself is not like something that requires medical attention. That would be gender dysphoria, where usually the course of action would be HRT or genital reassignment, or like top surgery, which would be like getting breast reductions or implanting breasts. Like I'm trying to figure out like what you're trying to argue here.
I'm trying to see your understanding of why self-identity is your just general idea of self-identity essentialism and its impact on what we call trans rights and the medical process.
Sorry, say that last part again.
I'm just trying to see what your understanding is of self-identity essentialism and its impact on the medical and legal process.
I personally don't have a strong opinion of it. I don't see how that's like an issue in like the medical literature that much. Personally, I just rather let trans people identify themselves and just people be happy, really. I don't really want to just get into the sort of deep philosophical argument on what it means to be a man, woman, whatever, because I just don't find it useful, which is why I would rather like not harp on this point.
Okay, are you aware of the ruling in the UK?
Which one?
In medical procedure.
Which one?
Bell versus Tavistock ruling.
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure that they ruled in favor of Kira Bell.
Yes, and
what was the argument about specifically? Because I know it was about puberty blockers, wasn't it?
Yes, and the differences between a affirmative approach, which is the one based in self-identity essentialism, and a wakeful watching approach, which would be based in that being trans is an inherent quality that is unchangeable and will last for life.
That's one case specifically.
That's pretty fucking important.
Do you think like what are you trying to say here? I'm pretty sure like the way most people do it, most people go about it is like if they declare themselves to be trans. Usually, if they want to go through any sort of like this would be with kids, if they want to go through any sort of like medical transition, then they would have to consult with a psychologist and like a person that would be able to prescribe them puberty blockers if they are questioning their gender identity. And they can sit there and wait for like a little bit while they think things out, and then transition and go through if they so choose. There's not that much of an issue there.
Are you aware of the arguments of and the different forms of treatment?
Are you talking about Kirabel like detransitioning? And like she wanted to detransition?
I'm talking about the treatment of trans people in this process that you're talking about, and the differences between the approach of the affirmative approach and the waitful watching approach.
I don't think you really understand how the process goes. You can't just really go into a gender clinic and say, "Hey, I'm trans. Give me some hormones." Usually there is a process that you go through to be able to medically transition.
Yes, and that's
like it's not just like, oh, I think I'm trans and
this process.
I can't just say I think I'm trans, therefore give me HRT.
And Tavistock ruling. Dude, I thought you prepared for this debate.
Yeah, yes, but you're just giving me this one specific example, and you're not providing like much here. Like there isn't that much of like a difference in approach here at all. Like I don't think what you're doing here is like actually correct, because there is a literal process that trans people have to go through in order to like get HRT and get transition. Like yes, there will be occasional times where people fall through and want to detransition, but they're in the minority. They're like, this is in the range of like 2% or less.
Do you think that because it's a minority of people, the healthcare of those people does not matter?
I think that if most of the people, most of the trans folk that go through the process of transitioning medically, if I believe that 98% or more of them are satisfied with that transition, then I think that save like for like maybe a few things that you could clarify in the weeds, like by and large that transitioning is a pretty successful thing for them, and I think it's a good thing. Like it's unfortunate that Kira Bell like fell through the cracks, but I don't necessarily think that like that should just mean we like enact like more restrictions, especially when you have a success rate of 98%.
So let's say the success rate was under 98%. Would that change your opinion on this and make you look into the approach?
For me it would have to be like more? For me it would probably have to be somewhere in the ballpark of like 1 in 5 and 1 in 4. Like maybe like that's probably the one where I'll probably be pretty alarmed. But right now, since like we're getting at most like 2%, and I have I'll bring you the study right here. It's in Amsterdam. This was a longitudinal study from like 1972 to 2015, and this showed that out of the 207 trans women and 370 trans boys, 4 out of 207 of the trans girls, which would be 2%, stopped puberty suppression without proceeding to HRT. So like These are like people that have confirmed, hey, we're trans, we're good. And then 2 out of 370 trans boys stopped puberty suppression without like proceeding HRT. So like the whole idea of like detransitioning in of itself, like at that point, is rare. And then if we go to like the actual like hormone replacement therapy, I'm going to show you this one next. This one is actually in the UK. This one shows that out of a sample size of 3,398, only 16 of them expressed regret, which is a rate of 0.47%. And that most of them were related. Most of the reasons why they detransitioned, most of them said it was due to like social factors unrelated to transition. So this could be things like I didn't have the resources required to transition, or like lack of acceptance, like those things. Like this data like says, hey, very few people detransition, if at all, and when they do, it's largely for like reasons unrelated to them transitioning. Yellow.
Yeah, I'm just making sure these are the ones I've already.
I ran the water through it, so we're good.
Like, and this is just HRT. I also have like sex reassignment
Second
surgery.
one you linked about detransition rates. Are you aware of the methodological of why?
The what? You cut out like midway through. I can't hear you if you're trying to say anything.
Sorry. Are you aware of the methodological critique of this study that many detransitioners and so-called TERFs have expressed about this? The second study you linked.
Would you like to provide them to me?
So the problem is that it's based on patient assessment reports, which many detransitioners who have spoken about this, including on the subreddit,
if you can provide me a link to that, I'll look at it.
Yeah, I don't have the link. But many people that have detransitioned
No, I'm not.
have a problem with this study due to that it is based on patient assessment reports, and many detransitioners have said that perhaps the majority of them do not, when they detransition, not report to their patient assessment and to the psychologist they were previously speaking to when they were transitioning. And that is a comment brought up by detransitioners to express that the rate of detransition is not like an accurate representation of the rate of detransition.
Did they at least bring it up with the people who made the study, like the authors?
Yeah, the people that made the study are the psychologists, and it's based on patient assessment reports.
Did they like bring it up, and did they address that?
Not in the study, no.
So they levied this critique and they didn't give it to the authors? Or did they?
Like if they've levied this critique like against
yeah, did they like
yeah, I'm not sure if they've been made aware. But that is a common critique of this.
Okay, so then do you have like a better way to determine that besides patient assessment reports?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. The reason is that wait, so what was the original point we were on?
Very few people detransition.
Yeah, okay, so a lot of people. So the rate of detransition is reported to be around 2% or less. Many people who have detransitioned have a problem with this, as they do not believe these studies accurately represent that.
I don't know.
Or represent the total amount of people that have detransitioned, as many of them do not report back to the patient assessment report.
Well, this
not
was
continue to
3,398 people who did that. Like, this is a fairly large study, considering that in the UK, like, at a low end estimate, there's like probably 200,000 trans folk. Like, the estimate's between 200,000 and 500,000, so like, this is considered a pretty decent sized sample. And also, still, if you can find like where that they made this critique, like I'll look at it. But they should have also like levied this at the like authors themselves.
Cool. Yeah, they probably have.
If you can find that, that'd be cool.
You should just have looked more into this, honestly.
Oh, I should really look more into this.
Yeah, there's just like a lot.
Yep,
just, like,
sure.
have no idea what you're talking
Got
about.
yep, gotcha.
Are
I
you
don't
aware
know.
of the difference
Yep.
between the affirmative and wakeful watching approach, and how that relates to self-identity essentialism.
I don't.
Argument
Is your entire argument just based around like, are you aware of like a self-identity essentialism? Like, I told you I don't care. I'm telling you the process that I'm no. Hold on. I'm telling you how they go through the process of transitioning. And at what point did I bring up the words self-identity? And at what point? At what point is just having self-identity like the only thing needed to get like hormone treatment?
This is the thing that was ruled on in the UK, is that is the approach you take. You take the affirmative approach.
I'm pretty sure that this person went through the process of transitioning. If I remember correctly, Kirabel went on puberty blockers and then made the complete transition like after a little while, and then decided, I didn't like this, I want to detransition. And I believe she got mad because, oh, they didn't stop me from transitioning and I regret it. Which I would refer back to the study saying, this is a minority case.
You really should have researched more.
No. No, you should have researched more, my guy. Like, if your big, like, bombshell is Kira Bell, like, really? If your entire argument crutches around a single case on TERF Island, that your entire argument has just been Kira Bell.
This is like a pretty important topic to like.
I actually cannot believe that I spent the time, researching all this and debunking the sources in your own document just so that you could like harp on Kira Bell.
You clearly did not look much into this. Are you aware?
Okay,
of,
buddy.
like,
Sure.
All right. Are you aware of what the ruling changed in the approach that?
I believe it. I believe their thing was
taking.
You can start puberty blockers like later. I believe the original age was like 12, and they moved it up to 16. If I remember that correctly.
Yeah, and are you aware of the difference in the talking about once they are referred to a psychologist and the approach that psychologist is supposed to take, and the like?
Don't they just go through like psychiatric evaluations? Like, I'm pretty sure I think the standard process is like talking with your psychiatrist about this and making sure that you like actually want to go through this, which is why we have puberty blockers, so that it gives these people more time.
Like, you're not aware of like the practice.
Please tell me the changes then, please. I would love for you to tell me this.
Yeah, so here I'll link the main study on this. as well as that I'll be quoting.
Please do.
So the difference is that previously, the approach that was pushed very quickly without much evidence was the affirmative approach, which is based on this
The
entirely
affirmative approach.
self-identity and affirming the self-identity of the people that sign up for treatment.
So this wasn't
was changed because the argument being that anything but affirming this belief, the belief in being trans, was comparable to conversion therapy for gay people. And
Are you referring to the
that was
Michael
then
Biggs
being-
study?
What?
Are you referring to the Michael Biggs study at some point here? So I read something in one of those articles about like puberty blockers being used to like treat some sexual deviancy in men. Is that what you're referring to?
A study from Cambridge University Press by Lucy Griffin, Katie Clyde.
Okay, so it's the one that I'm on right now. Okay.
It's the one I've linked in chat, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the argument initially for the affirmative approach was that not only affirming the trans identity was comparable to conversion therapy. This has been reruled.
Wait, you're equating this to the person here's equating this to conversion therapy?
That's what it was before with the affirmative approach, based on affirming the identity
Okay.
of the
Hold on.
person in question.
Conversion therapy, and you're trying to link this to being like praying the gay away, right? Is that what you're saying? Like, because
No, that's what was happening before.
So the argument here is that in going through the process of transitioning, or like going through the process of making sure that they want to transition, is akin to something like praying the gay away, or like suppressing homosexual tendencies, if I may put that in air quotes. Is that literally what we're doing?
Again, you're not understanding this. That is what the treatment process was. Here, I think.
Okay.
RC
Hearing
psych gives a description within the position statement.
The problem with this then. Okay, so now I'm not reading this. Attempts to cure same-sex desire included psychotherapy, hormone treatment, various behavioral interventions. Do you realize that like science has now progressed past this and said, hey, this is probably bad. This is a bad thing, and we have identified that. Whereas with transition in trans folk, like this is not the case. Like most of the literature says that transition is positive. It has had a positive effect on people's lives. If that's where you're going at.
No, you're misunderstanding.
Really?
Everything about what's going on.
Really, I'm misunderstanding here. So you're trying to place like transition in the same category as trying to like cure gayness.
No, that's what you're
with
doing.
hormone treatment, which has been like, which we've moved on from in scientific saying that's bad. No, that is not what I'm doing, because there's a difference. Transitioning has had a positive effect on trans folk. Like medical transition, by and large, has had a positive outcome on the trans community.
Dude, you're just getting flustered because you just don't understand the topic at hand.
Oh, I don't?
So
okay, would you? Okay, no.
before,
Would you like the Cornell? Would you? No. Would you like the Cornell University meta-analysis, my guy? Hold on.
No, let's just calm the fuck down.
Let's go.
We're talking over each other. Okay, cool.
So, the
oh my god, here we go.
That were
here it is, boys. Let's go.
Assigned the that made the
Are you gonna-
guidelines for
We're gonna throw in the
treatment
meta. We're gonna throw this next
transgender
meta
people.
analysis. Here we go.
before this ruling, this recent ruling. They were equating that anything but the affirmative approach is what they were doing before this ruling. That not like just affirming the identity, the trans identity, was a form of conversion therapy, like equal to the obviously bad attempts at conversion therapy on gay people. This has now been
Do you realize that
understand.
this statement is in like direct like opposition to like what the APA recommends, like you do with gender dysphoria?
I'm not
Like, and
talking
what
about the
most
American
no what you're telling me
recommendations
what you're
for
telling me
treatment, but the
what you're oh
recommendations
my
for
god.
treatment in the UK.
Okay, what you were telling me is that transitioning is we shouldn't allow trans people to transition, or we should give them more quote unquote
No.
more time, right? Like what's your argument here?
I'm just trying to explain what you don't understand about what's going on in the UK. I'm not making an argument right now. So
I came here to debate like the academic literature here. Like I don't see any utility in arguing like the self identity shit, like because like by and large like the approach that it has been taken by doctors seems to be working pretty well from what I've read.
yeah, which clearly isn't much, because you don't know about the.
So the academic consensus on transition isn't much, is it? Like that transition has a positive effect, that most of the people that go through transition are fine with it, and very few people detransition. Like what I'm telling you is the consensus here.
So actually, to be correct, that it was not based on much. Shit, do I have this one saved?
But
there's a medical board that does review treatment, and even while the treatment was going on and how it was rated as based on I think it's like low evidence.
Yeah. Yep. Do you have any evidence to the contrary?
Why would I have that? I'm saying what the
because what I'm saying is that the available evidence shows that this, like, what's happening is a positive thing.
Dude, you're really fucking boring. I'm gonna say you literally just know the fucking Bosch level talking points. Like you just watch two Bosch videos and you think you can debate.
Yeah, I've watched more. Okay. I've read more than the fucking standard fucking fucking ultimate research document. I've watched more than 2 videos on this. I've actually read a good portion of these. And by good portion, I mean all of it.
Were only sources from the ultimate research doc?
No.
All right.
No, I actually have a lot more than that. Like a lot of what I could throw at you right now. I believe found this somewhere else. The 3,398 one, where 16 expressed regret. That was something I found. A lot of this I found across, just researching this. And reading it and making sure that everything was right.
But you never looked into the differences in the treatment of trans people?
I've seen that by and large there's a process that people go through to transition, and that usually that involves hey, okay, cool, and that involves psychiatrists And if in psych evaluations saying, hey, this person's good for transition. And by and large, that is what happens. Most people seem to be satisfied with their transition when they do it. You have edge cases where people don't, but the academic literature already addresses that and says very few people do it. And even in the study that I showed you, study findings are consistent with previous research showing low rates of detransition. Detransition was most often prompted by social difficulties rather than changes in gender identity or physical complications. This was I believe this was the UK study. Yep, that was what it was. Like, this is consistent with like other research. The idea that people are suddenly like getting this whole gender affirmation thing, this has been a policy since 1998 in the UK. The Royal College of Psychiatrists in 1998 recommended delaying puberty in young adolescents who experience strong and persistent cross-sex identification and distress around the physical body that intensifies with the onset of puberty. So this is referring to puberty blockers. This has been like a thing that's been recommended for years, and it continues to be the case because most people are satisfied with their transition. I don't think that's a hard thing to grasp.
Like, you actually, just one that just didn't look enough into this. So you actually got into the point of gender affirmation. That is the previous, what the Royal College of Psychiatry was recommending, and that is now changing after the ruling.
Just really fast. If only if both of you guys agree, because I don't want to step in as a mod too much. I did hear concerns by Ricci that Bones doesn't know what people have to go through for gender dysphoria under the NHS, the United Kingdom National Health Service. I do have stuff pulled up, and I can quickly explain that and go through what the NHS states you have to do, especially for people under the age of 18 wanting to go through or possibly suffering from gender dysphoria as classified by the NHS.
Go for it.
Sure, go ahead. I want to find it. Oh, so yeah, I want to stall.
Alright, here's a link to it. Basically, treatment for children and young people. If you're under the age of 18, you may have gender dysphoria. They'll usually be referred to the Gender Identity Development Service, or GIDS, at the Tavistock or Portman NHS Foundation Trust. GIDS has two main clinics in London and Leeds. Sorry, not British. Your child or teenager will be seen by a multidisciplinary team. This will be a clinical psychologist, a child psychotherapist, a child and adolescent psychiatrist, family therapist, social worker. This team will carry out a detailed assessment, usually over 3 to 6 appointments over a period of several months. Depending on the results of their assessments, the child may be, or the teenager child will include family therapy, individual child psychotherapy, support counseling, group work for young people and their parents, regular reviews to monitor their gender identity development, and then referral to a local children and young people's mental health service. If everything still points to gender dysphoria, then they may be passed to go through hormone therapy for young children or puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. But usually this is a case of at least a year of going through all these expertise and specialists just to make sure that this is true gender dysphoria.
Right. Like usually there's already like a high barrier placed here for this.
So that's exactly the problem, and like why so many people.
Do you think that this is just like?
including
Do you think this is all just like affirmative shit?
the gender affirmation? Yeah.
Do you have? It's what's going on here is a like multi-stage process that goes over like months as the person like assesses their own identity.
Based on a affirmative approach.
And so far, it is the case that most people are satisfied with their transition.
So you're aware of the. I think we should move on. I don't have much time.
I'm not saying that there isn't going to be like
know
issues that some people like will
data
fall through
on-
the cracks, but literally like most of these
Are you
people
aware of
that go through
all
transition are just satisfied. They're happier. I don't see any reason to like put unnecessary barriers.
Are you like aware of the 35 psychologists that resigned from the Tavistock Gender Identity Service clinic?
Yes, actually, hold on. Might actually have something on this. Here we go. This is probably in reference to, like, the Michael Biggs study that was released, right?
Yeah, that's also
Right. So actually, I have a nice little thingamabobber here. Is puberty delaying treatment experimental treatment? Which actually addresses this. And if I may pull up one nice little quote here. GnHRA, which is the chemical that they use for like puberty suppression, has been used in treatment of gender dysphoria since the mid-90s, and their efficacy in delaying puberty in adolescents is documented by numerous studies and scientific publications as late as... Hold on. It's like 2016, yeah. There we go. And like this article is published in 2020, so this is post Michael Briggs. And we show that the provision of puberty delaying medications to adolescents with gender dysphoria is not experimental, or at least not any more experimental than the standard pediatric practice when there are no licensed treatment options for a pediatric patient population.
Points.
Like I'm telling you that this is like a trend. Like
I felt like
this has been like a standard practice for years.
using a drug in general for a non-prescribed, off-label use, like define makes it under the term of your experimental use and shit like that. Anyway, since you like don't know much about what's going on,
Oh my fucking god, dude! Are you gonna keep being this like passive aggressive here? Oh, you don't know what happens in the UK, dude. I have studies, my guy. You have like a few studies of your own, and your big argument is Kira Bell. Kira Bell was unsatisfied with her transition, and the courts ruled in her favor. Yeah, like puberty blockers have been used in like.
You seem muted.
Hold on. Yeah, so puberty blockers have been used like for kids as young as like I believe 8 years old for like other things. And usually people are pretty knowledgeable of like their identity, like from early on, like their identity forms. I guess like I believe it was like the age 3, where they start like getting their own perception of their identity, and like how like society like perceives like identity, and so they try to mimic that. And like so typically kids like have a decent idea of like who they are. And hold on, I could probably find something right here that says that, because I'm pretty sure I've read that somewhere. Here we go. we're going to go to, hold on. Well, let me touch the article. Hold on. Here's a different one. This one's in like O2, but this will help. So, evaluation of a child care facility suggests that gender role development is socially constructed and learned from birth. Like, this is, like, kids know what gender they are for the most part, or they tend to have an idea. And this is also consistent across cultures as well.
Since you like don't know much about like the ruling and the
No. Okay, no.
We're not, like, what part did you like?
What do you
on, or like what part of the issue have you like done the most?
Here's what I've done. I've done sex is non-binary. We've talked about women's spaces, women's sports, how HRT is actually good, how puberty blockers are good, how detransition is rare, both HRT and sex reassignment, and then like a couple like bad studies that yeah. Like
right.
what you have just described, the Kira Bell case is an edge case that occurs going by the data that I have in the UK, probably at a rate of like 0.5% at most, where people are like, oh, we want to detransition. Like what you're describing here is like a very small minority case. And what you're trying to imply is that like there needs to be more barriers because of a very small like minority that like was unsatisfied. Like I disagree with the UK ruling. That's what you.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And also stop talking about how I don't know shit, because like I've just provided like a shit ton of studies. And I've explained to you, and no, and I've no. Let me finish. And I've explained to you why, as well. Like I have data on my side. You just have Kira Bell.
How do you think they make court rulings?
Do you think that all of the available data on this was presented in that court hearing? Because I can guarantee it wasn't. At least not all the relevant stuff. Cool.
Yeah, most it was okay. But you should look more into that.
I really should look. Okay, I should look more into it. But you're only gesturing. Oh, Kira Bell wasn't fine with this, and the court ruled in her favor that and the NHS ended up raising the age. So I guess there's something wrong. That's not how scientific consensus works, bud. Like sorry to tell you this, but scientific consensus does not work off of like a single court ruling.
All right. I don't know. What do you want to go over? Sex is binary point. Women's sports point.
You pick. Because I've got arguments for both.
Why don't you just link me your document? I'll just take a look, see what I.
Go for it.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, what's wrong with it? Okay, buddy. Man, you're being really passive aggressive today, aren't you?
I mean, I think you're just like gesturing and getting like pissed at shit you like didn't look much into. Like,
No,
so
I
much more
I
info
have I
in
have
the
looked into
UK
it though.
and-
I have looked into it though, and it's an edge case, and my data suggests that this is just an edge case. Like, what do you want me to
I'm
do?
just saying, like, on the point of like,
No, no, what? No,
you
no,
should know
no,
what
no,
the
no, 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 no.
treatment
No,
of
you've provided
drugs
me a single.
or
You have
not.
provided me a single case, Kira Bell, and you have decided to make your entire point that that what we are doing is not working, when I've given you study after study that suggests that, hey, what we are doing actually does work.
If you're, like, the same,
Like you're not levying like specific critiques at the thing itself. You're saying that it's just bad. Like, if you want to provide me like where in the process like we should like improve, then sure. Like, but
No, I just
like
wish we would've
the
looked more
data
into,
suggests that like what we are doing is good, or like what doctors and scientists are doing is pretty consistent.
Yeah, I just wish you would have looked more, because like that was like,
What do you mean I should have looked more into this? What do you mean, dog? Should I have gotten a super consensus?
no, you should have looked into the actual like effects, and since it's like what we were talking about before.
You
like,
you literally cited a Reddit you literally gestured
shit,
to a
you shut
Reddit
up, or
article, my
not.
guy.
Where's the mod?
Yeah, I'll shut up.
Mod, can you view these? Yeah.
You cited a
So, like,
Reddit
the
article, dude.
differences in the affirmative approach and the like, watching approach, and how that ties into the things we were talking about self-identity essentialism or inherent qualities. That's all.
And I'm telling you that the process is pretty damn good. 98% effective. I think that's an A plus, my guy. I like A pluses. Those are good grades, my guy.
Disagrees. That was
Everyone disagrees. Gotcha.
evidence. That
Bones,
Portland-
calm down.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
You can continue to keep speaking, Retry. Sorry, I just didn't want the constant buttons, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's
All right, we can
Really
move.
fucking
Do you want to
annoying,
move to
like-
women's sports, by the way? Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ooh. Also, by the way, like an hour has passed, so I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know.
I know. I'm gonna stay for a little bit because I want to get on to like at least one more point.
Oh,
Um,
what do you want to go over?
well, the sex is non-binary point is new. Actually, it's not. I've seen this one argued, but like, it's hilariously bad.
Which one? Are you the sex is non-binary one, the little syllogism? Thanks to Avi, he's a cool scientist. He's published literature on the matter. But yeah, if you want to go over that, then sure. Like I will present you the two premises and the conclusion. You've probably like see it since I sent the document. Premise 1, if male/female sex with respect to organisms is binary, then it is not the case. Then it is not the case that there can be organisms who are male and female, which would be P implies not Q. There can be organisms who are male and female, which is Q. Therefore, it is not the case that male/female sex with respect to organisms is binary, or not P. What do you reject there? Yellow.
Hey, I was reading the one study it uses for hermaphrodism. Yeah, so what does this study have to do with
Wait, which one?
testicular disorder?
Which one?
The study I've linked under hermaphrodism.
Oh, that's just providing definitions. That's the one where we get our definitions from right here. If we go down towards the bottom, you have male, female somewhere in here too. Where is it? That's up here. And then hermaphroditism. And like that's the definitions that I'm using.
Yeah, so hermaphrodism doesn't exist in humans. Ovotesticular disorder used to, and we knew less about it.
It used to.
As true hermaphrodism.
Well, right, we
It's
just
not
renamed
accurate, which is why we call it ovotesticular disorder.
No, we just no. The reason why we renamed it is because hermaphrodite is considered a slur,
No, it's because
and it is a no. Hermaphrodite is a slur though. like that's why the scientific literature moved away from it. Is because it was used like that.
So are you aware of the
But do you like reject like the definition of male and female, by the way?
hermaphrodism right here? But like the person
Well, yeah, well,
describing as
yeah,
hermaphrodites are people with ovotesticular disorder.
Right. But do you reject like the definitions of male and female that I've presented here?
I reject your definition of ovotesticular disorder as being hermaphrodites.
Do you reject the definition of male and then the definition of female?
I think they're slightly incorrect because I believe it's not the one that produces the smaller and larger gamete. It's where is my source on this? It's like described as like your body develops towards the production of. But that's like.
What definition did you get that from? Like in the scientific literature? Just curious.
An organism's sex is defined by the gamete. Their reproductive anatomy is organized to produce. So I think that's the more accurate. But again, it doesn't really matter.
And if it's organized to produce both?
It's not a thing.
Yes. So you have people who can produce eggs and sperm, which would be premise 2. And I have 2 sources here. And actually a third one if we include the person with a mosaic karyotype.
Yes, this is
the 11th reported case of fertility in a quote-unquote true hermaphrodite. And the only second report of a mosaic. This occurs. Like this is a phenomenon that occurs in society where where like animals can produce like both like male and female like characteristics. Or what's the word? I'm blanking out. Gametes, that's what it was. Yeah, no, like this is the case. This happens in humans too. Like, if they're organized to produce both, that would constitute that my conclusion is correct. Based on simple logic. Yeah, I'll raise the Discord volume.
So I guess the question I want to ask is, how do you think these 11 cases of a testicular disorder matter to trans people and defining terms?
Well, because I believe that like a lot of TERFs like to use the term like adult human female to try and tie their womanhood to like their sex. Like that's typically what TERFs try to do, to obfuscate the meaning of like gender and sex. And
Yeah,
by
so
break
are you
and but
saying
no
that
and
trans women are
hold,
only women if they are hermaphrodites?
no, that's
They're
not
one of these
that's
11
no that's
cases
not that's
of
not
a
no
testicular
hold on,
disorder?
that's not the fucking claim that I made. So
Okay, so
we are
those
trying to break
are
down the
male.
biological.
Wait,
We are
wait,
trying. No,
wait,
no,
wait,
no, no,
wait.
no, 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 no. I
Do
need
you
to.
agree
I
that
need to finish.
99.99% of trans women are male?
That they are assigned male at birth. Sure.
Unambiguously male, by your own definition.
That they are that they are assigned at birth. Yes. You can get. You can
That
get
they are
that
the
lead.
male sex
You
that
you
produces the smaller gamete.
and
So you agree
does
that trans women
does that
male.
matter to their identity?
It matters to your objection to what Turks were saying. So you agree that trans women are male, at least 99.999%.
Not if.
No.
No.
So you do not agree that
They can be. They are assigned.
Male.
They are assigned the category of male at birth.
This is such a dumb point. You already gave a description of male.
They're assigned
You're saying
male
this is-
at birth.
That is like based in like a biological category. That's not. So but like they're male.
They are assigned. They are assigned male at birth. But that their sex has no fucking bearing on their. Dude, I don't care about the fucking gamete shit. So.
A testicular disorder that produces some.
The point. No. The point I was trying to make was that you're being biologically essentialist if you assume that sex is binary. And my point I'm trying to make here is that you cannot like refer to one specific characteristic and reach two specific outcomes. You can reach more than two outcomes.
Well,
simple.
Because it's a specific disorder.
Does it matter if it's classified as a disorder? If it's another outcome?
Yeah, because you're saying we can't classify people as male.
No, that's not my argument. I'm saying that sex is
Alright, so
non-binary.
trans women are male.
They are assigned male at birth.
So why are you saying assigned male now when you already gave a definition of?
No, I just said
Not assigned,
I've been saying that they are assigned
they're-
male at birth the whole time.
By your own definition, that doesn't make sense because it's not a thing assigned.
They
It's
are.
just what
Yeah,
it is.
yes, it is what you are assigned at birth. What do you mean?
Do you think you're
Do you-
assigned?
can you? Okay, no. We're gonna
assigned
circle back to the
disorder?
conversation that we had a few days ago. So, do you think that male and female are just poofed out of nowhere? That we just found these on a stone tablet before the first human appeared? Did we just construct that, or did we just construct that?
Wait. Like now we're getting to like a
I'm telling you that
Science.
I'm telling you that these are like
what sciences?
they're just.
because
I'm
of the-
telling you that these are just categories that we have made up, and that they have no bearing on the person's identity.
So you agree that sex and gender are two different things, and that sex is a biological category that can be well defined, including this disorder that you're saying is a not male or female or both person. That 11 people
Under
ruled out.
under the definitions that I have, they would be classified as both male and female.
Yes, the what's it, the fetal disorder or true hermaphroditism.
So my next question
But
would
you
be
agree that
no,
that
no,
is
no,
a
no, no,
specific
no, no.
disorder
This is
that
super
there are
important.
11
No, this is super important. So
cases.
what makes a woman? Just curious. Now we can finally circle back to this. What makes a woman?
So by the category that it is used in law, it refers to a sex class that is an adult female.
You sure? That can be legally changed, by the way. Like in a lot of countries, you can legally change your gender.
It does not. I'm not referring to gender. Sex and gender are two different things.
You can do that same thing in Germany, I believe. Hold on.
But sex and gender are two different things, you bigot. I'm talking about sex.
Oh, you're calling me a bigot now. Hilarious.
Wait, you just
No, what you're describing here is actually like literally like something that can be changed legally.
You think you can legally change your sex?
Yes.
You just say you can change your gender.
You can do both, yes. Like
Do you think you can-
the definite yes. Hold
You
on.
think you can medically change your sex?
Actually, there is a possibility that you can, yeah.
you think
The
that's
currently that goes through sex
medical-
reassignment surgery, my guy.
But not by your definition of sex.
Yeah. If you can, if you can end up producing like female gametes at the end of it, yeah, sure. Like I think I think that science can reach that possibility, yeah.
But do you agree that that is not possible right now?
I will not say that it is impossible because you can have people that produce both
You agree
sets
that
of
it is not
gametes.
currently possible. It is not currently a medical procedure.
Currently, probably.
It
But
is not.
I will
You
not
just
rule
say-
out.
you
But
just
I will
say
not
no.
rule out that it is impossible.
I'm not saying impossible. You agree that it's not a thing that can happen currently. That someone can.
But I
change
can't.
to
But I'm not going to say that it will
producing only
never
the smaller
happen.
gamete to be
No, well, I'm not
producing
gonna. I'm not
gamete.
gonna say that it will never happen because we have observed it in nature
I
with
did not
other
say
animals,
that.
and so like
not say
it is probably possible that we eventually can be capable of doing that, as we have with a lot of things that we could
That's
do that
irrelevant.
despite our limits.
That's irrelevant.
Okay.
You agree that by your own definition, you cannot currently change your sex from male to female.
You could probably not change your assignment at birth. Actually, no. Actually, you can, because you can get it. You can have doctors who get it wrong. So yeah, and have it change over
Something to
time.
do with the definitions of sex that you've given yourself. that you-
Well. You asked me if you can like change it, and yeah, you can. There's
So
processes
you
for
believe
that.
You believe that we can currently change someone who only produces the smaller gamete to start producing the larger gamete.
I think it's possible.
Currently,
Currently, probably not, but like
Alright,
in
so you
humans,
agree
probably
that-
not. But you could.
so you agree that currently someone that only produces the smaller gamete cannot change their sex by your own definitions into producing the larger gamete.
Currently, probably not. But that is what I'm
Have you
providing.
probably not.
I-
Why are you being so weaselly about it?
Why am I being
By
Weasley?
your
What
own
am I being?
definitions, it's already like you already.
Right now, you probably cannot. But
Why are you saying
but it is
probably?
possible. You can
Just
change.
say no.
Yes, there are examples of animals that have done it in nature. Like, what makes you think that we are not, or just going to be always incapable of doing that?
I never said always.
Okay, then like,
In the future,
what's your
we
problem?
change people's
Then what's your problem with me saying that eventually we may be able to?
Because that's not an answer to the question. You're dodging the question. Do you agree that currently someone who is male, by your own definition, who produces only the smaller gamete, cannot change their sex into producing the larger gamete?
Currently, yeah, you can, because you can get rid of your gametes and stop producing them. Yeah.
By your own definition, that does not change you into the other sex.
No, that can make you. You know what? That could make you, yeah, because there's something other than like gametes that makes you male. I think.
Wait, someone in your chat saying it to you. Scroll up to your definition of sex.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Sure. This is the definition that I provided for the sake of the syllogism. If you want me to like personally say what my definition of sex is, what it refers to is like a combination of like characteristics. Like it's not just gametes or like just chromosomes. I think it's like an aggregate
So
of like various characters.
Well, sexual characteristics, or is it the production of gametes?
For the sake of the syllogism, to make
No,
things
you-
no. For the sake of the syllogism that I provided, this is the simplest way you can prove that sex is not a binary. Like this is specifically for the argument that says sex is not binary.
Male and female, for the sake of this conversation.
It is for the sake of proving the syllogism correct.
So it's not true. You don't actually think that is the definition of male and female. You're just
I think it's an incomplete. I think it's incomplete. No, I did not just make things up. I provided these definitions for the sake of the syllogism because it was direct to the point that I wanted to make, which is that sex is non-binary.
so for the sake of this conversation.
It is to make it easier.
Do you believe sex?
It is quite literally to make things easy.
So it's not true. It's not.
Well,
your definition of sex.
based on the definitions themselves don't have a truth value. Like there can be definitions that are more accurate, but you can use definitions as a way to like ground
But your
an idea.
definitions are two different things that are very different. And
No, okay, for fuck's sake. So the reason why I use these definitions of male and female is to make the syllogism as simple as possible, to provide you why the large gamete and small gamete does not just produce two outcomes.
you're not
because
actually
that
thinking that is the definitions of sex.
Does it make the syllogism wrong?
If you don't think that is the definition of male and female, then yes.
So you think I reject the premise? You think I just reject this premise one here? Is that what you're
Rejecting
saying?
Your own definitions.
No,
for
I'm-
that.
I am not. I think that this is true in this concept of like gametic sex, or like gametic entailed. But as for the overall definition of sex, it is much broader. The reason why I brought to you the definition of male and female with respect to gametes is to show that even where it seems to be like a binary in the most like minute sense, like there are still cases where the binary is broken by people who produce both eggs and sperm.
Wait, so by yeah, this is pretty funny.
Yeah, no.
So by your definitions of what are your definitions of male and female?
So personally, like, if we want to go like with the typical male female, which would be like the standard like 46 x. If I wanted to say female, 46XX. Big gametes. They produce like they have the like.
What does the definition include?
This would include chromosomes, gametes, and other like secondary sexual characteristics. Generally, yeah. And so, like, under my definition of sex, like, yeah, you could change it just by transitioning. Because you would be differing from, like, other things. Yeah. Well, like, that's, like, a broader thing outside of this syllogism.
Alright, so by your syllogism and the definitions you gave for it, there are three categories of sex: male, female, and hermaphroditism.
Well, technically, if we want to get spicy, we could do 4, where they produce no gametes. But I didn't provide like stuff for that, so I'm not going to sit here and say.
Do Do you agree that your syllogism, we use the
It's true, yeah.
actual
I think it
biological
works.
definition and not the one you gave? That is the
I think in the context of the I think in the context of the syllogism.
organized to produce, and not if it actually produces the gamete
Well,
or
you
not.
you haven't provided me any like literature that where your definition comes from. So like, I have, and the definitions that I provided are within the context of the syllogism itself, and it is used to prove the point that sex is not binary.
All right, here's the definition that I was using. Where
Okay.
the quote comes from. You don't have to. I don't know. I mean, if you want, you can control F, I guess. To study. In organism, sex is defined by the gamete the reproductive anatomy is organized to produce. So that is a more accurate way of describing the definition that you're trying to give for your syllogism.
Or where is it specifically? Just curious.
I put the quote directly in.
Okay, gotcha.
Control F.
I don't see the quote in like the call. Oh, you're talking about your document? Gotcha.
Alright, I might like the long wrong one. Let's just stick to this. What is your definition of sex for the sake of this argument that you're using?
Hold on.
You already gave it like that it's a mix of gamete production, secondary sexual characteristics, and what else?
I believe I said gametes, chromosomes, secondary characteristics. I think those are like subcategories that amount to like a whole. Really? Yeah.
Alright, and by that definition, it makes male and female.
Yeah, sure. If you go like by the typical ones, yeah.
No, like what, by that definition, where it's all three of those things, what are the weights, I guess, that determine male and female?
Really, if you want to say that, I don't think that they. I think I guess they just have like equal weight, really. Like I'm just like really, like there is no like one specific characteristic that just equals like male, female. Hold on. All right. Like what's wrong with like me saying that like multiple characteristics can equal one whole? Because what I'm trying to say is like not what I'm trying to avoid is like not one there's not like a single characteristic that just defines man or woman or like male female.
How do you determine male or female? By your
You typically get it assigned at birth based on like a genitalia or like chromosomal makeup in the womb. Like typically.
Wait, which one?
Does that mean that they will always end up being like the typical male female? No.
Alright, because the other problem with your argument is that you're saying that it's based on gamete production and chromosomes and using
It is
a disorder of the
the key word being
with a particular-
and that there's like multiple things going
So
on.
the problem with yours is that you're saying it's multiple things, chromosomes and gamete production, but
Right.
the thing is that
The definitions that I've
Chromosomes,
used are limited to the syllogism. Please stop trying to tie like those definitions to what I like believe like as a whole. Because I already explained to you like this multiple times that the definitions that I use are in the context of the syllogism, and that what I'm trying to say is that broadly, sex is not just gametes.
Yeah, you said it was gamete production, chromosomes, and secondary sexual characteristics.
Yes, the key word being "and,"
Yes.
meaning that it is an aggregate of characteristics.
All right. What is the weights of those aggregate of characteristics?
I don't think that we should put in a weight, really. I'd really think it's irrelevant.
All right. Which characteristic?
Again, I just said I'm not going to put weights on things.
Just like which secondary sexual characteristics? Just like list. There's
like a whole bunch of secondary sex characteristics. like for one, like typically I guess voice. Typically like women have like a higher voice like than men. You also have like the wider hip stuff, the breasts, etc., etc. Like there's like a whole like.
So let's say a trans woman.
Hmm?
Is the typical karyotype, born male.
Hmm?
Produces sperm. Other deep voice. In every way, typical male.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree that a trans woman is a male?
Do I agree that a trans woman is a male based on what specifically?
Based on they have the typical karyotype. They produce sperm. And also they have, let's just say, a pretty, I mean, as you said, the secondary sexual characteristics don't have a weight, so, but they have those two of the three, and their secondary sexual characteristics are pretty typically male.
So if that's the case, then they were assigned male at birth. Because that is what the characteristics are consistent with the category we define as male. By that definition, they would be. Right. They would be considered male because we assign like we assign like specific characteristics to the category of male. What I'm trying to say is that really has like no weight on their identity, really.
Yeah, because sex and gender are different things.
Right. So yeah, they were assigned male at birth.
What does identity have to? What does identity have to do with sports?
Did I ever said that identity was associated with it? Besides the whole like woman equals adult and female person. Adult human female. That's what it was. Like this is specifically kind of like an argument against like that sort of notion. That you can just essentialize a person's characteristics.
Do you agree that even with the most broad definition, that 99% of trans women are male?
They would be assigned male based on if they. I wouldn't say 99% because a lot of trans women go through like HRT, which would change up their which would change up their secondary sex characteristics.
Also, you are kind of contradicting yourself. Now you're saying assigned male, but that would
no. That like I said, based on that definition that you were provided, they would be considered male, like like they would be assigned as a male, like given no other information.
Do you agree that trans women? Do you agree that trans women are male? If they, by your definition.
No, I wouldn't say that they're all male. No. They wouldn't all be male based on my definition. Now they would be assigned male at birth. Typically. But like I said, has no bearing on their identity.
Yeah, we agree. We're just talking about sex here.
Right. Like what's wrong with what I've said?
So do you agree that currently, legally, and as a biological category, that woman refers to a sex category?
No, a woman typically refers to gender, so.
Alright.
Yeah.
That's just untrue, though.
So you can't be a woman unless you're a like cisgender, like typical woman, or you fall under that woman category where you produce, eggs. Is that correct? Is that what you're trying to get at?
I'm saying that you, by your own definition, to say that trans women are women, you have to say it's by gender.
Yes, because they're
But
socially women. Yes.
As a sex refers to a sex category.
Where the sex category that was defined like with words that referred to like characteristics, but it's not like essential to who they are.
Actually, this is a pretty important question. Who is someone? Who is anyone?
Yeah, anyone's anyone. I'm gonna go into the infinite regress just for that one.
Yeah.
A person is a person is a person is a person is a person.
And what makes you your identity?
Probably just like who I perceive myself to be, really. Like my identity is based on like what I consider to be like me. Like it's all like really highly subjective.
All right. Are anorexic people fat?
Generally, like based on like what I understand is like the concept of fat, probably not. They may think that they're fat,
Their
yeah.
internal
Right.
understanding of themselves is
Right.
that they're fat, so that would make them fat, right?
Yeah, I walked in that one. So, like, based on their identity, if they consider themselves fat, then, like, sure, they could still be wrong. Just in, like, the same way, like, a trans person could be wrong when they say, like, if it's a trans woman, it's like, oh, I'm a man. And they, like, yeah. Like, I think that would be analogous. Like, you can think that you're fat. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're correct in that sense. Like this is a pretty great gotcha, by the way. Like wow, 10 out of 10. So since I moved away from that, from like the argument at hand.
Do you agree that we can describe a people, and that people are something based in material reality, rather than only within their own thoughts?
I could probably assume that I'm real, but like whether everyone else is real, that's up to debate. That gets in like deep into philosophy. So
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to go.
nah.
All right. Wait, I do want to go there though. Do you believe that? What's the best way to phrase this?
Again, I'm trying to specifically avoid the demon mom and RGR shit because, like they're like that debate because because I literally don't give a shit. I just want people to be happy.
Exactly,
God damn
you
it!
don't care about trans people.
Oh, I don't care. Oh, okay, so I don't care. No. I don't care about the minute differences in definitions. I care about making sure that they exist healthily and comfortably in society.
Do you care for
Like
good medical treatment?
Like, do you think I'm gonna have like the perfect definition of what a gender is, or what what anything is? Do you think you can just logically, like, define what woman is with 100% accuracy? Like, is this a really like this is just really stupid to me.
I think you're really stupid.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm stupid. After I've like unloaded all this nice, lovely documentation towards you.
Oh, shit.
So, anyways,
Now
do you
it's
want?
True. You just identified yourself as stupid.
Ooh, dang! Goddamn! I guess I am really stupid. So, do we want to move to women's sports too while we're at it? Because you've just literally been like trying to make in snide comments and like put in like your little like insults every now and then, like whenever like I made a point. So yeah.
I want to speedrun this real quick 'cause I'm gonna go soon.
All right,
Do
have
you
fun.
believe sports should be separated by sex or gender?
Actually no. Probably neither. I think they should be separated based on like specific characteristics, really. I guess broadly speaking, gender would be okay for now, but there is like some talks about like creating an algorithm to sort of, I guess, put everyone on a mathematically even field. But I think right now that gender would probably be the best route forward, and I think trans women should be in sports such that they clear the once they clear all the medical spiel. So.
All right, so you believe the best imitation is to have sports separated by purely self-identity and no observable.
No, I'm pretty sure what they have to go through is transition to do so. They have to go through transition if a trans person wants to compete. Like this is in the IOC. Like you have to be within 5 nanoliters or nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months before you can participate. I believe that's what the current one is.
I already did this today with Shark, but so I'm just gonna go real quick.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
All right. So do you believe that the trans women who haven't been on HRT for 12 months are women?
Are you really going to keep harping on this? Yes, they are women. If you're going to keep harping on the what is a woman thing instead of like addressing the women's sports thing.
Let's do that one real quick. What is a woman?
Is this a joke? Do you just want to keep pivoting?
Yeah, I'm trying to speed.
Because you've been like pivoting through this shit. Let's go back to women's sports.
Actually, I just wanted to talk about one thing in depth because I thought you had researched this more and.
Okay, no. We're gonna go back to women's sports. So yes, all women should compete in sports if they transition or if they like. Or if they're cis, like they're fine. If they're trans, transition. Like, cool. I think the ultimate goal should be moving towards maybe an algorithm that helps normalize the data. Put everyone on a mathematically even playing field.
I just wanted, real quick, what is a woman?
I really don't care about... I don't care about this.
Yeah, you don't care about trans people, I know. That's why you say.
So no. So here's the thing. I don't care about the definition of what a woman is, because I don't think that is practical to my activism.
What is gender? In general.
Okay, so you're just gonna keep going about this. So, are you just gonna keep going down this line?
I'm gonna butt in really fast. I think it might be appropriate for us to maybe do our closing statements.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Retchy, would you like to go first?
All right. The points I came in to talk about were mostly about the differences in having a definition of gender and definition of what being trans is, that is rooted in some sort of material reality that would lead to more effective healthcare. And discuss actually the differences in how the wholly self-identity approach and having any sort of definitions or descriptions of what being trans is that's based on some sort of inherent quality leads to actual material changes in how the healthcare of trans people is given and how that could actually lead to better treatment of trans people. I think that's really important. I think it's pretty annoying when people who advocate for trans rights, and obviously, if you actually think about it at all, it's mostly talking about medical treatment of trans people. But then the people arguing this have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, because they don't actually know like the changes that are happening in trans healthcare and how that very much is relevant to things like the Riley Grace Rochong and Dion Mama debate about these two different definitions that are based on either self-identity or having some basis in reality, and how that directly reflects in the changes between like gender affirmation care and critical weighting. That's not exactly what's called. The critical approach.
Thank you.
This is really core to the, actually trans rights. People like Bones, people like Bosch, people like most of the fucking debate bro community have no idea what they talk about. They just say trans rights, but they can't talk about it at all.
All right. Then, Bones, you want to go into your closing statements?
Gladly. Alright, so for the past hour and 50 or so minutes, Retri has demonstrated that he will skirt around the entirety of the academic consensus when presented to him, and will instead promote like edge cases in a court that support his ideology. And so, like, I have no reason to really engage with him in a good faith if all he's going to do is just deny the academic consensus, and that in reality, like, the current treatments that we have are pretty damn good, and that we should probably strive to up those numbers from like 98% of people who are satisfied with their transition, and make that 100. And I don't think that Retri has even proposed any sort of other legislation. And any evidence to provide that legislation that he has would be any good. Whereas I have provided that what science has dictated is that transition, puberty blockers, all that spiel, good, very great, amazing for all people who want to transition. And I think that we should let people transition given the parameters that we have today. By acknowledging this like socially, by going to their psychiatrists and like other people to begin considering their transition, and then going through that transition over time. And we should let people be who they want to be and be happy.
Wait, can I say one more thing in my closing statements?
Go for it.
Anything. So not only did Bones not know the actual differences in trans healthcare treatment, but also I showed that most of his arguments based on just changing the definitions of sex, and having no coherent definition, and just making one for arguing that it's not binary, and then making another one for saying that trans women are women, or that trans women are not male, or that it's assigned at birth, just jumping between definitions all the time with no basis in material reality or the biological literature. All right, it was fun.
All right.
Yeah, no, completely false. Can I just get one more statement in?
Let me finish.
Okay, let him speak.
Okay. Holy shit. Bones, I am gonna give you a rebuttal for that, and I'm gonna put a timer on for 1 minute, and then we're done, and then I'm gonna just thank you both, and we'll end this debate. Okay.
All right, cool. Killer, I want to talk about this after, as well. So.
Okay.
Anyways, so I also forgot to mention that Retri has just been, shit talking me this entire time, both with passive aggressive statements and direct ad hominems. If he were actually willing to engage with the literature at hand, he would have actually provided counter arguments to my literature, but instead he just vaguely gestures back to one policy and says that no, shut the fuck, Retri, shut the fuck up. So anyway, no, I'm gonna mute you on my stream because I really don't give a shit about your point right now. Okay, sorry. So, you have done nothing but ad hom me and not engage with my arguments, and instead that you gesture at this one specific case where shit went wrong and it has no bearing on the overall treatment of trans people in healthcare. So anyways, I bid you adieu, goodbye.
That I did not look into at all, but I just say.
Anyways, yep, that's it. I'm done. Anyways. Oops.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, my bad. Press the wrong button.
I hate it when that
press the mute
happens.
button.
I hate when that happens. Things get heated, and then you accidentally leave.
Yeah, I meant to press the mute button.
But anyhow, thank you both for the debate. Hopefully there'll be a few more of these, possibly. I have no idea. And thanks for your time, Retri, and thanks for your time, Bones.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, everybody.
You too.